Hi, and welcome back to the Embrahation podcast. My name is Wangeshi Karemi. So, in our last podcast, we discussed climate change and we tried to analyze it in the best way we could to make sure that you at home understands what climate change is. Now, in this podcast, we're going to be talking about the causes of climate change. And I am still hosting Bikoro, our big bio girl, and she's going to introduce herself one more time and give us that big bio even better.
I thought you were not gonna introduce me, so I was gonna say you forgot about the introduced. So
and we had that discussion in our last podcast. Please make sure you watch it. We talked about introducee and introducer, and we said there are no words like introducee, right?
There should be introducee. Moving on
swiftly. Yes.
What did you ask?
Introduce yourself. Big bio.
Yes, again.
Yes, very fast.
Hello, my name is Bikoro. I'm a water researcher, a water engineer, as well as an environmentalist.
So there's something that causes climate change. We talked about climate change and we said it's the changes in the weather patterns over a period of time. Observed because over a period of time. So now we want to understand nini inafanyanga climate change come through, because once you understand the causes, you can understand what we can do to actually solve it if it is a problem, So what causes climate change?
I divide the causes into two: natural causes and anthropogenic causes, that is human causes as a result of human activity. Anthropogenic. Come on, anthropogenic.
Anthropogenic, guy.
Yeah, anthropogenic.
Anthropogenic just basically means human caused in this case. Yeah. It means human caused causes. Yes.
So natural causes, we can have, for such as we can have, if we have a volcano eruption, the volcano is gonna release gases, sulfur oxide, we have CO2. They contribute to the greenhouse gases that cause, climate change.
Yeah.
That is one natural cause. An anthropogenic cause might be, for example, industries. Mm-hmm. Industries releasing gases to the atmosphere that cause climate change. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the road, climate change.
Yeah. So right now, one of the major conversations that come with climate change, and we have said climate change is the changes in the weather pattern. So that means they could change and it could start raining. But one of the conversations that we're having heavily right now is how the earth in total is warming. Yeah. And in this conversation, we're going to be saying, how does the earth warm? And how is that related to climate change? Because it's one of the causes of climate change, right? Yeah. And we're going to be looking at it from the human-made factors, because the human-made factors is what we care about.
Yes.
Because that is what we can change. Yeah, we can't control nature, but we can control human activities and human behaviors and the consequences of human activities and human behavior.
Yeah.
Now, so let's talk about global warming, and let's talk about it from this aspect, the greenhouse gases. Tell us, what do you understand by that concept?
Greenhouse gases or global warming?
Greenhouse gases. Unaweza anzia kwenye content inakuja, yeah.
Okay. Greenhouse gases cause global warming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Also, greenhouse gases are gases. We have methane, we have CO2, we have methane, CO2, sulfur, SO2, that is sulfur dioxide. Mm-hmm. These are gases that contribute to the general heating up of the earth. What do? They pile up in the upper layer of the atmosphere. They destroy the ozone layer, which means that the earth is vulnerable for such as to the harmful radiations from the sun, and the gases as well. They pile up over the earth's surface, causing a sort of a blanket sort of thing. Mm-hmm. That heats up the earth. Mm-hmm. That hence the name greenhouse gases, because like in an actual greenhouse, what they try to do is maintain the heat
that is already there.
Yeah, within the greenhouse, such that the plants or the produce can thrive within the conditions that have been provided. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So same thing, the gases, they envelop the Earth's atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And hence we have so much heating going on up here. Mm-hmm. Down here, sorry.
Yeah, so just to see if we understand you. So assuming this is the Earth, the atmosphere covers the Earth, and it normally has different gases naturally that occur from the atmosphere, one of them being carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases like methane, CO2, another one? SO2. Yeah. There's also CO.
That's carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide, yes. So all of these gases normally come into the atmosphere. When the rays of the sun come from the sun, assuming the sun is right here. When the rays of the sun come into the sun, they get in through what we call solar radiation.
Yeah.
Now, these gases that have covered the earth cover it to the point where they act like a blanket, so that the radiation that comes into the earth, when it bounces back to go back, it cannot go back fully because of the blanket of gases that is around it. And so the terrestrial radiation, which is the radiation that comes from the earth, once it comes from the sun, it bounces back. It cannot fully get out of the earth, and so it retains in the earth and it causes global warming. There's also the fact that these gases, they destroy the ozone layer. So there's a lot more solar radiation that is coming from the sun, and not enough that is going back. Yeah, we are together now. Me and my analogies, just so I can make sure we understand. We are together. So essentially, that is the whole aspect of global warming.
Yeah, and we have an unpopular opinion about that. Apparently, they say, or people say that the ozone layer is not the ozone layer. Sorry, yeah, the ozone layer is made up
of these gases.
No, like it's made up. It's something that somebody decided exists. Yeah. So that is one of the unpopular opinion. Yes. Apparently, it doesn't exist.
You know, I saw somebody.
We have so many opinions these days.
I saw someone saying that if someone had not invented gravity, we wouldn't have gravity, and I was just, I was tired.
Uh-huh.
So the ozone layer exists.
Yes.
We're saying it here at the Generation Podcast. The ozone layer exists.
It does.
It does, and it is normally destroyed by some of these gases when you say that. And what happens with the ozone layer? It's like some sort of protection. To this, our Earth again, the ozone layer works as some sort of protection from the sun radiation, from the harmful rays. And these harmful rays are really harmful. They really burn your skin. So to avoid the burning and the cancer cells, the ozone layer is there. If the ozone layer keeps getting depleted, the radiations zinakuwa stronger into the earth. And remember, these gases have already created some sort of blanket. So the terrestrial radiation that bounces off from the earth. Remember when you talked about light bouncing off, yeah? So the ones that bounce back, they cannot go. They still somehow find themselves within this space, and then there's like a lot of warming of the earth.
A lot of heating. Yeah.
So how is this a human fault? All of these gases being in the earth and in the atmosphere and all of this drama. How is it my fault?
How is it your fault? Oh well, you probably have an industry that releases these gases to the atmosphere. That's for starters. You know.
Yes, I do.
You maybe do.
I do, yes. Uh-huh.
You probably cut down trees that sequester this carbon.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah. So you're letting the gases go outside there instead of being, taken back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and taken to the earth.
All right. So a lot of activities under the sun. I think what people are trying to say, they cause production of these gases.
Yes.
Now, some of these activities we just have to do with them, but then there are some of them that are just extra. It's like, why are you doing this? You're doing the most. But one of the most common ones. One of the most common ones is during the industrialization period. There's a lot of production of these gases. And that is why nowadays, and in another conversation, we're going to be talking about carbon credits. And we're going to also be talking about carbon trading from developed countries to developing countries.
Yeah.
But essentially, Sai, what we want you guys to understand is there are lots of activities that lead to the production of carbon and other greenhouse gases.
Yeah.
From industries to vehicles. That's a very important one.
Yeah.
Different vehicles in their production and their management. By production, I mean when they're being produced, and management when you're using them in your daily consumers. Daily consumership. Huh? The daily consumer, the daily consumership, we said we can create our own words.
Yeah.
The daily consumership, the daily usage of these vehicles produces a lot of carbon. There's also something called black carbon that is produced when you cook. So when you actually cook this carbon, when you burn fuel and it doesn't burn completely, there's production of black carbon. That is also one of the gases that causes climate change by extension through global warming and the greenhouse gas effect. So by the end of the day, all the activities that human beings take part in have some sort of influence to climate. They have some sort of influence to nature. And that is why it is normally very important for us to have this discussion so we can tell you what role do you play in warming the earth, in climate change,
and what you can do.
Yeah. So we talk about what role they play,
yes,
and then we talk about what they can do.
Well, what can I do? I we'll plant trees as we all do.
And why? I don't know people why if people understand the concept of planting trees. I mean, it's just as simple. You remember, you breathe in oxygen, plants breathe in. Was it carbon dioxide that they use for?
They take up carbon dioxide during the day and take in oxygen during
the night. Yeah. So that's carbon dioxide that is normally taken by the plants is a reduction to the amount of carbon dioxide that goes into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So by the end of the day, if you plant more trees, there's a lot more carbon dioxide that is taken in by those trees, and hence reducing the amount of carbon dioxide that goes into the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's one thing. Another thing we can do is conserve our peatland. I always thought that plants, trees are the greatest sequesters of carbon, but no, apparently it's peats. You know peats?
I'm just here at sequesters, but yes, peats. I don't even know peats. Let's start with sequesters.
Sequestration. Sequester.
Assuming I get that, but then for them, not for me, just for them. Asking for a friend. What is sequestration?
Like to sequester is to like take up the CO2 from the atmosphere, take it up.
So carbon sequestration becomes the people or the things, the items that take the carbon from the atmosphere.
Yeah, so I always thought the trees are the greatest carbon sequesters. Man.
Sequesters.
But apparently it's peat. So another thing we can do is conserve our peatland.
So we need to also conserve them.
We need to conserve our wetlands.
Yeah, we need to conserve our wetlands. We're talking about the swamps. We're talking about our lakes, our rivers, our marshes, our coral reefs. Our corals. We're talking about all of these things. They normally take up the carbon. So if you have a swamp somewhere and then you decide to add, what is it that people normally add? I saw there's a place they were adding sand so that they can stop making that place swampy and it can become habitable or even farming worthy. Those are the places that you need to leave alone.
And we also always say that nature is capricious.
Yes. Nature is capricious.
What is capricious?
Capricious is you can't foretell what you can't tell
how it's gonna be.
Yeah, in a surprisingly too much. You know that those memes that normally tell you like just shock them, confuse them. Nature is like that. It's capricious.
It's always gonna go back to what it was before. No matter how much you alter it, it's always gonna fix itself.
Yeah.
Yet again.
So if you cover up a swamp, that swamp is going to still
always
happen.
Gonna come back.
It's still going to happen. So stop altering what occurs naturally. Stop planting next to rivers. You're destroying a carbon sequestrator. Stop ruining swamps. You're ruining a carbon sequestrator. Stop cutting down trees. You're ruining a carbon sequestrator.
Go on.
I don't have I was going to end up with an analogy, but I don't have one this time round. When we talk about global warming, it's just the same analogy that I gave last time. When you cover your head with a blanket, that blanket it's just the thickness of that blanket defines the thickness of the greenhouse gases that are in the atmosphere. So the thicker the way it is, the more the air does not flow normally. Yeah. And then you start running out of breath, you can't breathe anymore, there's not enough oxygen in you. That is the same thing that the earth is going through. So it is your responsibility to ensure that you when they say this life is a journey and we are here together, life is a circle.
They say that every place you are, you should always strive to leave it better than you found.
Oh yes.
Leave it better than you found.
Leave it better than you found. So what do you do instead? You plant trees. Allow the carbon sequestrators to sequestrate. When you brought that word, it wasn't me. You allow the carbon sequestrators to sequestrate. Avoid wetlands and peatlands. Let them occur naturally. I think we've gotten the point across. So today we're talking about global warming. We're talking to understand the causes of climate change, and we're told about anthropogenic, and we also told about natural causes. And we talked about the production of greenhouse gases and how it causes the warming of the earth and what you can do to reduce the warming of the earth. And by the end of the day, we should say that global warming by extension now becomes part of climate change. Yeah. Because as it continues to warm, the observed weather patterns start to change as time goes by. Hey, we have finished that episode with sequestration. Thank you very much for joining us. I will see you next time.